Hello and welcome to the Leadership Lab. I'm your host, Maurice, and this week I'm joined by nobody. We are doing a clip show. I'll be reacting after each one just to kind of give you guys my take on it, some of the similarities that we've seen with respect to how these people have dealt with either situations, successes, the problems, and of course, how they managed to work through everything. So without further ado, let's jump in. So in this clip, I'm speaking to Catherine Leduc, and she's got some really interesting insights on branding. Let's just jump right in. I'm going to watch along, and we're going to talk about it right after.
Branding is a foundation, and in general, whatever problem people experience, whether it's like I'm trying to network and it's not working, or I'm getting job interviews but I'm not able to kind of get an offer at the end of the deal, or be the selected candidate. And it typically, to me, like we always go back to, are the branding foundations in place? So for example, as I said, the branding starts with the clarity on the direction and what I call the area of genius. And your area of genius is where you add the most value. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you cannot do other things, but it just circles in. And when you have a competitive market, it's not a good strategy to fit everywhere, but stand out nowhere. Yeah. You need to articulate where you add more value, and that in turn informs how and where you do your networking, because you know which companies could find your profile attractive. Yeah. And so as part of the networking is that very often people haven't done their homeworks in full. Like I still see people coming to me or approaching their networks saying, I'm looking for a job, I can do this and this, and then starts the grocery list. Yeah. But this is not memorable. In many instances, it's not credible. Also, it dilutes the brand as opposed to reinforcing it. And because it doesn't make you stand out, people don't remember you, or people don't have a reason. Or, one of the ways to see if your brand is on point is the person I'm speaking to able to turn around and recommend me to someone, saying, this person's expertise is this, and that's why I think they should be we should look into that candidate. Yeah. If you're not clear about this yourself, if you can't articulate this for yourself, there is no way your LinkedIn profile, your conversation, your interviews, your CV is going to convey it.
All right. Catherine is a career coach. So she helps people get jobs. And I'm in the recruitment game for about 20 years. She calls this area of genius, I call it pigeonholing. Sorry, but it's true. As recruiters or anybody who's hiring for a job or looking to create a network opportunity for somebody, we can only remember so much. We've got busy lives. We've got, personal commitments. We've got our work. We've got our family. We've got so many things that we have to do and remember. And when I get introduced to somebody, for example, I had a candidate that was given to me as a referral recently. This person had 4 different job titles on their LinkedIn as one experience. And I tried to tell them that, I really need to understand what is your area of expertise, or as Catherine put it, your area of genius, because we can only remember so much. So if I know Dave is an amazing regulatory leader, or Jan is amazing with respect to clinical operations, I can keep that in my mind. And it's an employer's market right now. And therefore, people tend to get a little bit desperate, and they will veer off brand. They will start to apply for jobs they're not qualified to do. And what then on the other end happens is they'll see 6 applications, a recruiter will see 6 applications from somebody and say, you know what, this person's not serious. So I know it can be really difficult, but if you really work on narrowing down what exactly do I want to be doing and where do I add the most value, and then putting all your energy into those applications, you're going to come a lot further than just trying to spray and pray, as we say. In the next clip, we have Jana Herrmann. Jana has been in talent acquisition for a couple of decades and is currently leading global talent acquisition for Hoffmann La Roche. So pretty big company, over 100,000 people. And she's got something to say about, when is it time to take opportunities? Let's jump in and watch this together.
What I hear very often, people saying, it's not the right timing. It's not the right time. It's never the right time for anything. That doesn't work. It will never be the right time. Sometimes you feel it's the right time, then there are no opportunities. Then there are opportunities not the right time. this right time thing, I'm not a fan.
Right.
I think it just assume it will never be the right time. And is the opportunity and you feel like it will be a nice challenge for you, go for it.
Yeah, it's like having kids or something, you know. Never
Exactly.
really
It's
the right
like
time.
having
It's just going to
kids.
work out in the end anyway.
Yeah.
I agree. So just being open to the opportunities when they come your way.
Yes, because it's hard to plan, right? It's very hard to plan these kind of things. And I hear that sometimes, I need 6 more months 6 more months to do this job, enroll, And then, but you know what? These opportunities come every 5, every 6, every 7 years. Now people are staying longer in jobs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think this planning and saying, I need a couple more months in job.
Is it really going to make that much of a difference?
Could close doors, right? So I think this is one. And then I also would say, go out of your comfort zone. I think that's when you really learn, right? I think when I, a couple of years ago, initiated this whole project with external workforce and trying to, bring the pieces together, it was uncomfortable. So don't be afraid of something very unusual and different.
Yeah.
But go for it and trust yourself.
Yeah. I mean, pretty interesting stuff. One of the things that I see all the time, especially for people who are kind of early or mid-career, they have a plan. They know that they have to get this job, then they can get the next level and the next level. And usually they have a goal. There is some sort of goal at the end. You know, I want to be chief commercial officer. And today I'm a business unit head. I don't know. They will often plan out every step of the way. I mean, I would have never planned to be in the role that I'm in today. I never thought about being in recruitment. Turns out I love it. But I took a chance. I took a shot on something I'd never done before. I was completely out of my comfort zone. No idea. New country, new complete industry, new skill sets, new languages. I didn't know what I was doing, to be very honest. And I think that the most important thing is to kind of keep the goal at the end and then be super open, because these, as she correctly says in the video, the opportunities are so rare and sometimes they don't feel right because, I don't know, the company is maybe risky. You know, we're not sure if the data is going to be good. You know what? I mean, if you take those risks, you're going to learn so much more than when you're just kind of sticking in what's comfortable. So in this regard, I'd say, hey, get out there. If it comes your way and it makes sense for you and you're going to enjoy it, then give it a shot. All right, up next, she's going to talk to us a little bit about how AI is currently working in whose favor. I don't know. Let's have a look together.
The ones who are most benefiting from AI today are the candidates.
Well, that's not going to make you popular. Okay, well, no, explain.
So I see, honestly, fantastic motivation letters. I see CVs that are perfectly fitting the jobs.
Okay.
Right? So it's great for the candidates, but what it makes is that our talent acquisition partners need to invest a lot more time because we are not leveraging AI to pre-screen all CVs. This is still be done by experts, human experts, right? Why? Because we feel that the technology is not mature enough and we don't want to give this important step of a recruitment process in finding really the best talent for the company to a non-mature technology, right?
Okay.
So we do have our talent acquisition partners looking through the CVs, but now they come and seem to be all fitting,
right?
Which means I need to spend more time in phone interviews, in deeply reading through the CVs. It's taking longer, which then has implications. Processes are longer until people get feedback is longer, more. Also, I think ideally what we want is have the right people applying for the job so that everyone has a great experience, right? Because it's not nice to receive a decline.
No,
right?
Of course not.
So now the technology is playing in favor of candidates to at least get through this first phase, but it doesn't mean that they will be more successful if they don't bring the right qualifications.
This is so interesting because since we've done this podcast, I've heard this from so many clients. They are getting overwhelmed with almost perfect looking applications. And from candidates, I'm hearing that they feel more and more desperate. You know, they've applied for 100 jobs on LinkedIn, but they're one of 500 in each. And so the odds of them actually getting a job through application seems pretty helpless. I would just take this opportunity, be it true or not true. Are more people applying using AI? Probably. Are companies using AI? Probably. Here's where building that network and knowing the people is going to become so invaluable. Even if you're not looking for a job, you have to be building your network all the time. And it's about taking time when you're in a position to help somebody. Because very often what we see is that when people are in an opportunity or they have an opportunity to help people, they're too busy for that. And then all of a sudden we get a call from them 6 months later when their company is, I don't know, bought or restructured. And then they don't have a role. And now they are the ones reaching out. Remember that it's 360 and we all help each other up the ladder. And so, you know, if you're looking for a job and you're simply clicking through job sites, company career pages, LinkedIn, and you're just clicking apply and you're uploading your CV, your odds are very small these days. An outreach at the right time, a referral, a recommendation coming from somebody known to the business is so much more valuable than applying for 20 jobs. So really keep that in mind. I mean, this just helps me frame the conversation. As I said, AI, no AI, yes, we're all using it, but now in person and recommendations are going to be the most important thing. All right, up next, we have a little quote from Annick Whyte. And it's funny because I was a little bit back and forth. Annick said so many great things in the show, and I was kind of trying to figure out which one I should choose. We can jump right into it, but I thought this one's pretty interesting. Let's have a watch.
My career accelerated after I had the twins, which was mind-blowing. Because, you know what, I was so tired that I just had no capacity for any kind of bullshit or any kind of fluff or any kind of influencing. I just told everyone exactly how I think it is, with respect and honesty. And I didn't coffee break with anyone. I didn't hang out with anyone. And people I did hang out with, it was fun and relaxed. And I was always honest. And that was a career changer. I realized before that I was always kind of trained, go influence people, go actively listen, go network, you know, and I was kind of listening, what does this person want? Let me respond based on this person's needs. And when I was just too tired to think of any of that, I would just say, look, if you want to go to market, and you want to use AI, you're going to have to use this tool and you're going to have to do it like this. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Do you want to do it? Yes. Good. Okay. We'll do it then and then. Okay, good. And I would just go very straight, even with vendors. I'd be like, look, I'm not going to read your contract, man, but I will lock your resources in. This is what I need. Are you going to do that with me? Yes. Okay, good. Here. Thanks. You know, like I was just very clear on what I need to be able to operate. And that was mind-blowing. And so I got site after site. And at the end, when I left, I had 3 jobs. I was running 3 executive jobs at a time, but I was okay because I was very clear as well with the people I hired. So even then, I learned really, when I had the kids, I really learned you must hire people who are better than you. You must always hire people who are better than you. Yeah. And I know it shakes something in you. I even have that. Sometimes I look at my people and I think, oh my God, you could do my job easily, man. You're so amazing. You're so good. Every one of my staff members, I really think like, God, they're so good. I'm always at awe.
All right. So there's a lot in there. And I just really like this clip because, you know, I've never been a mother, but I've had kids and it can seem like a lot. Still seems like a lot. And this is really about prioritization. I mean, when you have time for fluff, you tend to fill up your time. When I have an empty calendar, meetings take longer. When we schedule a meeting for an hour, it takes an hour. If you schedule for 15 minutes and it takes 20, I mean, and you achieve the same thing, it's just another way of looking at it. And I love the approach that she takes here. It's just, let's cut through the bullshit. Let's get straight to the point. Let's figure out what we need to do. And now look, this is not a way that we want to operate throughout our entire career, but we have definitely peaks and troughs When you're busier, you just need to be extremely clear on what has to get done, who needs to do it. And once they're clear, we're all going to get it done together. And she leads really nicely into then, hey, then I don't have any time to hire people who are not thinking in the same way I am. And those who are even better than I am are going to help me achieve that goal much more quickly. So, I think it was a bit of a strange situation that led her to this, but an invaluable lesson. All right, up next, we have a conversation with Armend. Armend is the founder of ClexBio. And in this clip, he talks a little bit about starting the company, what kind of triggered that choice. Let's take a look together and talk about it afterwards.
This was always kind of a seed that I had, right? And I always thought about doing something eventually. The catalyst really was that in 2018, the Technology Transfer Office contacted me and my co-inventor, David Bassett. We had invented Klex. And the patent was going into something called national phase, right? You go out of PCT to national phase, and you have to make a decision on jurisdictions and where you want to, cover the patent. At this point, I was working for a different company. David was in the UK, working there, and the TTO basically said that you guys we can't justify the cost of just kind of maintaining this patent. So do you want it? So we were actually offered to take over the IP rights of Klex. I had no idea what I said yes to. So I said yes because I was like, this has been the dream all along, right? To have kind of a solid foundation, a starting point to something, and something that I created and really, really believe in. So I said yes, and then for the next 2 years, I ended up paying patent bills for about 2 years privately. So that was a tough period where all the savings went into just paying, patent bills. But working at a product development team, while I was doing this.
So you had it in mind. You're like, okay, look, I'm bleeding money into this patent, and every day I'm going to work.
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
so actually I was very transparent.
I
I was very transparent with my manager and with the team at Ocker too. I said, look, this has come my way as an opportunity. They were super supportive about that, actually. They said, obviously, I work in product development. It's like, you should take these opportunities seriously when they come your way.
Yeah, I think it's just so interesting where people start out. I don't think that there's many people out there that would choose to pay this out of their own pocket, especially for such a period, for 2 years, when you have no idea if it's going to work or not. But what he mentioned in there is that he always had a vision. He wanted a solid foundation, something that he helped invent and knew that he could, make into reality someday, or at least try to. And I think I really admire Armend here. And the thing that I would like to get across to people who are out there right now is that, hey, you might not be sure. And we talked about this in other videos. Is it the right time? Is it not the right time? Is this the right decision? Is it not the right decision? Is this the right career step? Is it not the right career step? You don't know. You don't know. But sometimes you got to take a risk. And I really admire the fact that he did that. He's been on quite a journey, and it's still ongoing. But you kind of see where the origin came from. And I would encourage everybody out there to just take that chance. All right, up next, we have Marc Bauer. Marc is currently the global head of legal for a company called Argenx. I believe last time I heard the valuation was about $40 billion, making it Europe's largest and really, to be honest right now, most interesting biotech. He's had a really amazing career, and how he's developed through all the different steps. He's been in legal, but he's taken steps outside as well. And I want to listen to him now talk about how that came about for him, or the advice he would have for people when they're thinking about those next career steps.
I would say be open for opportunities, even if you don't see the opportunity at a first glance. Take your time and look at things if they come up. But even more importantly, own your career. I think what I've seen over time with myself and others is people are looking for others to shape their career. But within an environment where you work, may it be an outside counsel, may it be you're working in an in-house department, there is opportunities. You need to grab them. You need to identify for yourself, what do I like to do? And how could I achieve that in a company? In Argenx, we have something that is called the personal development plan. And it's a plan where you say, this is what I want to achieve in the next 3-5 years on a soft skill side, on a technical side. And the company is then looking, where can we open these opportunities? Like my predecessor, he wanted to become a GM.
Okay,
So there
yeah.
was so own your career. Own your career. It's not anybody else is doing that for you. It's only yourself, and learn from your mistakes and embrace them.
Okay.
Don't just put them in the cupboard.
I think I referred to this conversation a few times in other conversations I had on this podcast because it came up so often. We see people who are successful create their own opportunities. And this is what he's talking about here. He keeps saying, own your career. And it's so true. In my career, or, when I have people reporting into me, or when I speak to people who are developing within their careers in other companies, we often hear people who are like, I want that promotion. I want to have the bigger job. I want the bigger salary. I want the bigger team. But they're asking before giving, right? So, and I think by owning, you say, hey, is there a problem? Is there something that I can solve? Is there something that I can take on? And the career will come. I think this is the most important thing that he's talking about here is, hey, how can I be the master of my own destiny? I mean, oftentimes we just, people sit and they complain that they got passed over or they didn't get selected for a role. But to be honest, if you demonstrate value that cannot be overlooked, there's no way you're going to go without a promotion in your entire career, or get that job that you want, or build that company that you want. It's really about creating something that you become indispensable to those that you work for. And I promise you'll never have to ask again. All right, up next we have Michelle Bridenbaker. Michelle is a global head of medical information, and she had super interesting career development. I mean, I think she was working in theater, set design in the beginning, and she ultimately became a nurse. She told me some funny stories about working in surgeries, assisting doctors. But the one thing that she said came really towards the end of our podcast that I want to get into today. So let's take a look at it.
I have so many, college students that have written me, either from my university or other settings, that have said, hey, I've heard that, someone told me you really have worked in this a long time. You have a good way to help me understand how this might be a career path for me. Or they might go, I'm a nurse and I don't know exactly what I want to do. And so that openness and people knowing that I've been open to doing that is my way of giving back to all the people that did that for me. And I think it's really critical that we do it. I was asked last week about how, as a woman, I could make sure more women continue to stay in STEM and continue to succeed in pharma. And what my answer was to create an environment where men and women existed together in the most harmonious of ways, but being willing to be a mentor to both and not just say the only way we're going to make women better is if I mentor women and tell them, one certain path. I'm like, no, I'll mentor them, but I'll also mentor men because then they can see someone that's different than them and learn that there's different ways to be a leader than maybe they might see from a male counterpart.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is the strongest way, if you can sit there and complain that the workforce is lazy and they're this and they're that. But if you're doing nothing to impact it and you're not giving them also hope, right? Like if you're this generation, you're hearing a lot about this, the loneliness, the hopelessness that some are kind of being washed with through social media and what they're being told. Yeah. But when you actually talk to them, they're actually hopeful, they're optimistic, they want to work, they want to contribute, they want to matter. And I don't think we fully appreciate that because we're at the point where we're starting to matter, right? You kind of forget about that bright-eyed belief that you had, that you could matter, you could make a difference, because we get a bit jaded, we get into our day-to-day life, we get busy.
Yeah.
And so if you spend that time, being open to having people contact you, always saying, I'm open, I do have an open door in your day-to-day as a leader, taking the hands of people within your organization, mentoring people in your team, outside your team, it doesn't matter. I think these are the best way to start shaping the culture that you have around you.
I mean, we talked about a lot of things in this podcast, but this one really stuck with me. I mean, first of all, how she talks about, let's not divide. Let's not say, oh, we have to just promote or help women or men or whoever. It should be everybody. And the second part, she's really talking about, don't pull up the ladder. I talked about this in another clip. When you are, let's say, gainfully employed, you're in a wonderful job and you don't have time for anybody else because that's just a nice to do type of thing. And there is no time for nice to do. I don't have time to help you out with a 10 or 15 minute networking call because right now I'm too busy, I'm too important. It can be you. And I've seen it over and over and over and over again. And those who have helped out other people tend to get helped much more readily. Do you know how many times I've spoken to people who are like, yeah, but no one's getting back to me. No one's getting back to me. And, I've asked them, how often did you get back to people when you were in that situation? Well, no, I was too busy. Like, I completely get it. But we need to take that time to try to give people that ladder up, right? So to really help out those who need it. And I mean, you don't have to do it every day, but if you have an opportunity to help somebody out, if they approach you, we all get a lot of LinkedIn messages, and I do understand it, but this would be my message from this particular clip is really try to spend some time when you were in, as she said, you've started to matter. Maybe you think that's true, maybe you don't, but it would be a wonderful opportunity to really give something to somebody that you may not think is valuable, but it means the world to them. So think about that the next time somebody reaches out and asks for your advice or your help. So up next we have Tiago Nunes. Tiago at the time was head of clinical, but now he's moved on actually to a role as a chief medical officer. So we're wishing him all the best in the new company. Many, many successes. Really, really exciting leap that he's taken. But I asked him about why he thought maybe he was successful or what kind of advice he would pass on to people. And this may be something you've heard before. It might sound a little bit of a cliche, but let's have a look together and then discuss afterwards.
Make sure that you have joy in what you do, right? And this is, I know this is different for different people. And some people, they see work as work, and outside of work is where I have my joy, and this is just a job. But I think for me, I'm not like that. I need to have fun in what I do. I need to have joy. I need to work with people that I connect with. And I think that sometimes if you are like that, and you don't recognize, because it's a daily activity, it's going to work every day, you don't recognize that joy is not there because it becomes mechanic. And I think I became very good at identifying, okay, I'm not having fun. And then you start asking the right questions, why I'm not having fun anymore, right? Yeah. And then you start, you make decisions. So for me, my advice I would give to my younger self is make sure you're having fun, and you're not having fun anymore, make changes.
You've heard it 1,000 times. Oh, you got to love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, it's true, but we're not all blessed with that opportunity. And I would counter this a little bit. I think you have to be engaged by what you do. I mean, if you ask me some of the greatest things that I have in my life that give me the most joy, I don't know, my family, for example. It's not joy every day. There's tough parts. There's parts that, stretch you. There's parts that, you don't like. There's parts that make you grow as a person. And I think that's the joy. I mean, when you can get to the end, maybe whatever you might define the end to be, and you can look back at something and saying, man, sometimes that was a pain in my ass, but God, I loved it. I think it's that. I think it's really about how engaged or excited you get by something, even when it's difficult. That's my counter or my take on it. And I think that's what he means. The separation of work and life. I mean, when I'm not working, I'm thinking about work and how I can maybe make something better. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but if you have the opportunity to find joy or find something that really engages you, I'd say you're well ahead of most of the working population. All right. Up next, we have Veronica. And Veronica is the former CEO of Limitech Cuadra, and she's now a partner in a venture capital fund. But just on an interesting update, her company, Limitech Biologics, who we've also seen another one of our guests, Frans Vennerhaas, who was also CEO of Limitech. Limitech was actually acquired by Eli Lilly recently, I believe for something like $900 million. So huge shout out to her. We're going to talk a little bit about, let's just have a look at the clip and then we'll walk through.
At the end, you're really alone as a CEO. And because I am a team player and actually as well, I need others to function well. That was the biggest shock or the difficulties. There is nobody that tells you, bravo. Actually, if people comes to your office, it's because there is an issue. it's rare that people come to your office to say, well done, good work. Whereas before, I always been, because I think I in my career was doing well my job, I always been recognized by my boss or by the external that they were saying, that was very good, well done, Veronica. When you're CEO, this you don't hear anymore.
I can only echo this. And I don't think you have to be a CEO to have this feeling. I mean, sometimes we get into a new role where you feel a lot of pressure and you feel the pressure to deliver, and going upwards or telling other people might feel like weakness, might feel like, oh my God, I'm in over my head. I don't know what to do, or nobody's telling me I'm doing a good job. Am I doing a good job? I need that praise. Yeah, I mean, this is going to happen anytime you take on a role which is something that you really want to get to somewhere you want to be. It's going to be difficult, and you might not always get that praise. You might feel very alone. I think that the idea here is that we need to connect with as many people as we can. This is where having mentors, great friends, a good family is really going to help you. And don't be afraid to say these things, because we all feel them. We all feel under pressure. We all feel alone in terms of how we have to make decisions. And I think, a load shared is a load divided. We feel a little bit lighter when we can share these issues with other people. So that'd be what I would encourage. And that's what helps me. I run a company where there's nobody I can report to. There's nobody who tells me I did a great job. As she correctly says, when people come to me, there's a problem. They don't come to me and say, hey, wow, business is running great. Just wanted to let you know. Never happens. But, that's the most interesting part of the role is solving those issues. And sometimes it gets to be a lot. And, I'm lucky to have great friends, great mentors, a strong family who I sometimes vent to, and sometimes those who can give me constructive feedback. So if you don't have that in your life, my recommendation would be to really build that, to go find somebody that can help you navigate this path. And I hope that out there you've got good people in your life that can also help you when you just want to bitch. So up next we have Daniela. Daniela is the CEO of Cutis, and she called it a tech bio. So it's they're actually making skin. I mean, you should really go check them out. It's one of the really most exciting up and coming companies in the Schlieren area. And we'll hear what she has to say about mentors.
I mean, I'm definitely more comfortable than 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But you're never. I mean, when you are the CEO of a startup, you're never in a comfort zone. Never. It's always challenging. Every single day, there is something new to fix or something new to do or something new to learn. And that's why it's fun, actually. So I don't want to be in a comfort zone.
Agreed. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is that you would advise people to really go out and seek mentors or seek people who have been there, done it before you. How's that look? I mean, do you just email a bunch of people? I mean, do you start making phone calls? Just because I think that today I passed on my contact detail to somebody the other day who then wrote to our hello@headcount address and said, I'm a bit afraid to call you. Could you please, send me a calendar invitation? And I was thinking like, wow. And this is not a junior person. It was somebody reasonably senior. And I just thought this is a very strange way to approach it. But we see that a lot where people they don't pick up the phone, but they'll answer your WhatsApp. What do you think about the direct approach on people, or what would you advise people to do out there
the society is also changing. So 8 years ago, it was not the same as today. Right. So I don't have the magic recipe here. I mean, but when I started, I think going back to your first question about my cultural heritage, I just I was talking to anybody, anybody that was in the room was hearing my pitch, right? And doesn't matter if you didn't want to listen to me, I'll still tell you. You will still be bothered by me. So I think I was just very bold in that sense. I know what I want and I need to get something. I need to find it. And if I would approach you, for example, you would say, sorry, I'm not very, very much interested in this. Okay, do you know somebody else? Can you think of somebody else you can pass me on? So I was really pushy like that, And you would be surprised how many people actually are willing to help.
Yeah.
But you have to go ask. They're not looking for people to be helped. So either you raise your voice and say, hey guys, I need help. Who is volunteering? Otherwise, people have their business. They have their agendas. They have their struggles and troubles. And I just felt like I am just going to go and elbow everything out and find a way. And some people thought I was crazy. I think some people still today call me the crazy skin lady. But I got what I wanted. So my advice is, if you know what you want, just don't be shy. The worst that can happen is somebody says, sorry, don't bother me.
Yeah, this is really interesting because we get a lot of people coming and saying, hey, how can I get a mentor or somebody to advise me? And you hear what she said there. And this relates back to, what we saw in the video from Michelle. We talked about not pulling up the ladder. We talked about making time for people. And as Daniela correctly said here, that, people do want to make the time. We just talked about it with Veronica. She also felt quite lonely as a CEO. How do you find those people in your life that are going to help guide you? And Daniela's advice, obviously, is to just go and ask, have a clear vision as to what you want. And what she said is people are just going to tell you either they're not going to answer you or they're going to tell you you get lost. And that's fine. I think that they're going to admire. I mean, I would never have somebody write to me and say, oh, what a fool. I might politely decline. I may not even have time to answer. It does happen. However, with all that said, I would much more likely take the time for somebody who calls me up and says, hey, I'd love to learn from you for 10 or 15 minutes. Do you have the time? We talk about this when people want to network as well. We often just want to approach people for advice. Hey, I'd love to have your job. How did you get that job? Could I talk to you for 10 or 15 minutes? And I think that that's really important. It's one of the lessons that comes up over and over and over again. It's just having the boldness to ask. And surprisingly, those are the ones who generally tend to get what they want. All right, up next we have Adrian. Adrian, at the time we spoke, he was a director for, let's say, the Alpine region for Alexion Pharmaceuticals. He's since changed over to UCB. I mean, he's got a team twice the size. And honestly, I've known Adrian since he started his career, and I was always so impressed with the speed at which one goes, I believe, from starting in his career up to 8 years, running 2 countries. I thought was really, really impressive. And he actually made good on this after we had the podcast. But let's watch first, and then we can talk about it after.
Self-doubt, I mean, it will be lying, telling you never doubt yourself. I mean, you can be and I think it's a good thing. If you go there super arrogant, thinking you just know everything, you'd never learn. Because I think what helped me through my career was also collecting, and I was always asking for feedback. What can I improve? What I'm not doing good? What can I change?
Do you do that also up and down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which is surprising for the team sometimes, for the teams below.
Yeah, sure.
I think when, and I see some of them sometimes, tell me, give me feedback. And they're the first time they're like, well, I mean, how am I politically answering here,
Yeah, exactly.
And I say, literally, and this is because I strongly believe that's the way you grow. First you need to know yourself, and then you need to also get the feedback from others and then do a nice insight gathering and strategy out of it.
So I think this one was actually pretty cool because right after we finished the podcast, Adrian said, okay, so give me feedback. What did you think? How could I do that? How could I do it better? I mean, we had a producer in the room and he asked him, like, what did you think was good? How could I make this better if I did this in the future? And it was really, for me, it was a moment of, and he actually said, let's walk the talk. And I thought that was really cool. It's one thing to say it, and he talks about asking for feedback up and down, which, I mean, can be quite interesting for teams. It's difficult to give your manager feedback directly, but it's something that I would advise everybody to offer and be ready to accept. If you're a manager, accepting feedback sometimes can be difficult. It can be difficult in your personal life as well to hear difficult things maybe you were not aware of. And I would recommend everybody to both do this and be open to it because we all get better. All right, up next, we have Agata, who has got some lessons which relate back to a place where we both worked together and leaving that behind. Let's have a watch. What was the ultimate driving reason, or what was the reason that you decided to move on? Because it's hard. A lot of people don't.
No. And that's one of the things, because you asked me before, was it a conscious choice? Was that in the plan and all of that? And that was a moment in my career which was a conscious choice and which was consciously taking a huge risk. I was, feeling super comfortable at Amgen. It's an amazing company. I've been there for almost 9 years. Yeah. I knew everyone. I had opportunities very similar to you. I got a really, really nice offer that I was, that was interesting for me and career-wise as well. And there's no reason to leave Amgen if you're doing well. I mean, it's simply you don't do that, right? And I was very aware about all of that. And still I left. And the only reason was because I thought I want to make sure that I have, again, a bit of more variety in my life. I don't know what it's going to be, because you don't know, right? It can work out, it can not work out, you never know. But here it was too predictable in a certain way, right? Yeah. And I thought, no, I just need to jump, because if you don't jump at a certain point, that's it, right? And that would have been a super fair option, but that's just not me.
So again, we're seeing themes come up. We've heard this mentioned by somebody else. It's never the right time. Now, Agata said that, to give context, Amgen is a wonderful company, very well established, very safe, pays very well, and taking the opportunity, or taking an opportunity which is maybe either, she does go on to talk about the fact that she kind of steps back into a more specialist role. She doesn't have the broad view anymore. But to take those risks, because if you're going to end up staying in one place where you're comfortable for the rest of your life, I don't think that really leads to development. And we've seen this example. This is just one, but we've had it mentioned over and over and over and over again. And it's one of the biggest questions that we get at Headcount as well is, hey, I don't know if I should make this move. Oh, I'm kind of concerned, or I'm worried, or I don't know what's going to happen. It's all very true. But if you think it's something that's going to really motivate you and reward you, it's worth taking the step. And there you have it, our very first clip show. Hey, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Whatever platform you're on, it would be great if you could just follow the show, subscribe to the show. It always helps us. Look, the point of doing this clip show today was to condense some of these lessons. And the point of these lessons is to get them out to the broader world. We've got a lot of people we talked about not pulling up the ladder. We talked about trying to help people out. And these are not my lessons. They're those of these leaders. And I think that it's invaluable to be able to access them. So the more that you share, the more that you follow, the more that you like, the further it goes and the more people it helps. So next time I will see you in studio here with a live guest. But for now, until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you made it this far, I think you might have enjoyed this. And if so, please, if you haven't done so already, like, follow, subscribe, and rate us where possible. I'd really appreciate that. And another thing I'd also appreciate is if you could share this with somebody you think needs to hear it. The goal here is to inspire, and we need to spread the word. So anything you can do to help is much appreciated. I'll see you in the next lab.